mind is very reflexive. It's sort of an idea that I shared with Raj, and he invited me to share this. He was sort of interested in this. So I want to thank Raj and also Karen for helping me edit this for today. So what happened? About almost 3 years ago, I was living up in the city with my boyfriend, and we decided to move down to Palo Alto. And we were living in an apartment. We moved to this cute house, and we had some sticker shock. Now, it's not what you would think. It was actually about our utility bill, because we were living in an apartment, and all we had to do was pay for the electricity. It was like $25 a month. All of a sudden, here we are in this house where we had to pay for everything. And this is crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really into energy efficiency and what's going on. And so I had to get to the bottom of this. So this starts the whole story. So I was really indignant. I mean, this is crazy. It was January, and the sprinkler was on, like every single day. It was like flooding the yard practically. I asked the landlord, and he obviously didn't care. So I learned how to turn it off, and that was one of the things. And then, but the house was still freezing. I mean, wearing my sweaters. We'd set things to 65, but it was still really cold, just like an old house. No insulation. So, I decided that I was desperate. So I noticed that there were these just empty spaces under the doors. I got crafty. I got my sewing machine out. I created these little draft stopper things. So that, that was fun. I learned. I didn't know how to do that, so I went online and looked. Then I decided that I needed more help. I got a home energy audit from Actera. It's a local organization. They do these green at home audits, and they give you CFLs, tell you to lower your water heater temperature, that sort of thing. And I liked it so much, I actually became a volunteer. I got trained in it, so I would go actually do the audits in other people's homes. So these are some of the things that we did, unplug vampire loads, those shower heads, that sort of thing. We can clean your refrigerator coil. So if you live in Palo Alto, other towns, you can do this. So, I learned something that I could proselytize. So back at home, here we are setting up home. I set up this household calendar, just a calendar that I printed out and I stuck it on the fridge. And I would track things like, when the gardener came, our vacations, when we had guests, birthdays, and even we started riding our bikes. And I always rode, but moving, it's flat, so it's easier to ride. But my boyfriend hadn't ridden much, so I was trying to do that. So oops, let me go back, yeah. So just one thing to think about was like, what was my role sort of vis-a-vis my boyfriend? Because I was the one who was doing all the calendar and all this tracking. I'm the one who's doing it. So, it's not like I'm a super housewife or anything, but I do cook more than he does, so I'm in the kitchen. There's a little bit of Julie McCoy, for those of you who recognize, from the Love Boat. I was the social planner in the family. And a little bit of being like the personal coach, trying to encourage my boyfriend to take up this new sport. So that was, part of my reflection now that I think about what's going on. So in June, the clothesline that we got as part of Green at Home, we installed it. And I love everything about drying my clothes. Just putting them on there, taking them off, smelling them. Line dry clothes are just wonderful. So I was very happy. So I looked at my calendar and I thought, well, how, why not look at how often I'm washing and drying my clothes? This has to do with energy efficiency. So it's very simple. What I did is I just drew a line, and then every time I wash, I put the date. If I dried, I put a check mark. This is my tracking system. What is key about it that it actually happened is because everything is very convenient. We have the washer and dryer in the kitchen, and then the refrigerator is like around the corner. So I didn't have to go somewhere else to do the tracking. It was right there. And then since the dishwasher uses water and also energy, gas, because it heats the water, I thought, well, why don't I just track that to see if it has an effect on my energy bill? So then I just added another little line. So what did I learn? Well, actually having the calendar was helpful because like when we had crazy utility, like water was out of control, I could see that I had the rotor-rooter had to come, and they use a lot of water. It's really gross, but that helped me, yeah. So I was able to sort of diagnose the problem. So that's one way this helped. Something else I learned as I look back at my data, I don't use a dishwasher that much, but I noticed, I could sort of get an average about how often I use it. But I couldn't capture things like behavioral stuff, that it's an old washer, bad detergent. I actually had to rewash a lot of stuff, so there's some stuff that it actually doesn't get. My washer usage, so about 8 times a month I'm using it. The dryer usage about less than 30% of the time. That sort of makes sense because I'm usually using the dryer in the winter, and it rains from December to March, so that's 30% of the time. But I also use a little rack, so even if it's raining outside, I might be not using the dryer. I noticed as I looked over my data that as much of a greenie as I am, I do like fluffy towels. And if you have guests, I'm not going to give them like cardboard towels. and even I like to indulge myself once in a while in fluffy towels. So that was the learning. So in addition to my paper thing, I did start thinking about what is the information I'm getting. So I looked at my utility information, and I started doing like this Excel stuff just to help validate that some of my behaviors were actually making a difference. And then I was also getting information from powerful utilities. They told me that I'm great. That's nice, I guess, compared to my neighbors. So they started doing this thing where every 2 months they send you, like they're trying to motivate you in your peer group. And I'm in the top 10%, that makes me happy, but it's not really that helpful to me because it doesn't tell me like why I'm better this month than I was last month, and the suggestions they give aren't so great. So getting back to my data, which I found actually more helpful, I found that actually I wasn't even complete. Like I had a whole month where I didn't have any data, and I know I was in town. It wasn't that I was gone, so I actually don't care that much. So what do I care about? The tracking itself, like we've heard from other people, really connects me, and that's great. And then there's a ritual. I don't have a lot of ritual in my life. So there's something about just doing the month, doing that, and then being able to like track it. And there's something about that appeals to me. And then also, I grew up in the Midwest. We have seasons. It's hard to connect with the seasons here, and I think just sort of noticing, when I could dry or not, line dry or not, it keeps me in touch with that. And then I like paper, and I like just having like this big picture meta view of what was going on. I found that was very helpful of the way I was tracking. And then one note is that actually my tracking in terms of the line drawing was not tracking. It's actually what made me happy was when I didn't have a check mark. Yeah, that was where the value was. So what next? You're probably thinking, oh, this is horrible. I just have a pile of paper, right? What do I do next? So maybe Google Calendar. I have an iPhone. Maybe some way to bring this to the modern world. But in reflecting what the value of this has been, it's just really nice to realize that I really love. It's very grounding for me to do this. The drawing and bringing stuff home. So I think the tracking is a way for me to have some awareness around that. So thank you for this opportunity for being able to articulate that.
Okay, I have to just say, first of all, thank you for a great presentation. I love that, and I want to make a little context because I've seen so many talks, and you've done something here that's interesting because we've seen some talks about energy tracking and some really clever ideas to track energy. And one of the morals we've gotten from these talks is people say, we did this, people tracked, we showed them how much money they saved, and then people decided not to do the energy conservation because the money that they were saving was not a significant amount of money to really be motivating. And so I just really caught in your talk that there was other motivations like connection and presence, to things like the seasons that were kind of part of it. And it's not really a question, just to say I really heard that, and I think it's important and interesting, and I'm really curious to see if people pick up on it and do something like that. So thank you.
Paul?
I'm trying to understand when you said untracking. So you put a check mark when you used not the wetter but the dryer. So it was like, I don't understand exactly when you put the check mark. Was it check mark for when you used the mechanical dryer rather than the line?
So it started out, can I go back to you? So
I'll let you take it.
So it started out, here, oops. Yeah.
Sure.
So I wanted to, I was concerned about the energy usage. So what I wanted to do was track when I use the washer and when I use the dryer.
Okay. So when I first saw this, I thought to dry meant you line dry, but actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. You
So
didn't, I
you
mixed
can
my
actually
mind.
test, right, whether a check or an uncheck by changing the measure to line
could.
dry. And
I
then
could.
you see like whether you're more motivated when you get the check line dry.
Right. So is it closer to 0 or is it a higher number? Right. Because I like it. I mean, right now I like it. So this is this is June. I was happy. The way I did it now, I was happy when it was 0 in July and August, and then the numbers get closer, in the winter.
Because one of the things that's kind of interesting to me is like, is an up-down pattern more motivating than a flat line? And so, I think, the up-down may lead you to 0 if you integrate over the area, but it may still be more motivating. And similarly here, you might find something kind of fun if you get to spend some fluffy towel units or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So Paul, I'm
Yeah.
going to chime in here because we worked together on the presentation. One of the things that I noticed in talking about the presentation with Wako is that there's something really beautiful about the white space in art, and she found the white space. So that brought her to this sense of this other level of understanding her grounding, this deeper motivation. So you're actually suggesting to do the opposite. It would be interesting.
Just test.
It would be interesting to
Just
test. But there was this beauty that she found by having nothing there.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions, so Raj.
I was wondering with in the spirit of Paul's nudity, since you had this thing up on your refrigerator, what impact your chart was having on your boyfriend as well as maybe others that are part of your social circle. Did this have any impact on them at all?
Well, he's really into the line drawing too. So it's not, in terms of the behavior, we're totally aligned. It's just that I'm the one who does the tracking. So, not only did I miss that 1 month, but if I'm not home for some reason, because I'm traveling, but whatever, and he does wash, then I don't think I've ever seen his handwriting on there. Or when we've been away, sometimes we have someone house sit for us, and they are using it. In fact, I have a friend who I think uses the dishwasher and the washer and the dryer a lot because she lives in an apartment and she didn't have a dishwasher, so she's so happy, and I try not to cringe, right? Instead of saying, it's summer, use the line, I can't do that, so.
So I'm just wondering if in times that you were good, right?
Yeah.
And you used the dryer less and were more green, did you ever notice kind of earning some kind of like kudo points that you felt more able to spend, say if you were in a hotel and like longer hot showers? Did it give you new permission to like
Previous leveling type.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, because I don't think so. I think because actually it's really the fact that I can line dry is the thing that makes me really happy.
Yeah.
So now that I think about it, that it's not. Yeah. There's.
These are intrinsic rewards.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one real fast final question.
Just would you be interested in an automatic system that does this for you? Like for example, something that tracks electronically when you open the dryer.
The dryer,
or whatever, something gets it automated so that you can see. And
Or was it more the act of, is that what you're asking, or was it more the act of
just
maintaining a
having to
calendar?
do it by yourself?
Well, I think I'd want to do it by myself still. I mean, that's, I don't know. It might be interesting to know, because my system is not accurate. It's not accurate. So I think, I do get something from the ritual part of it, but, overlaying that with some other kind of data that could be more accurate, that automated, that could be, and I don't know, interesting. Yeah. But not if you have to spend more energy.